Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. I'm Amanda Wayers, your host, and today I have with me a very special guest, another member of our NCHE board, Evelyn Bickley. Hi, Evelyn.
Hey, Amanda, it's great to join you today.
Yes, I'm so excited. This is so fun. I love that our audience is getting to know members of our board. It's really fun. So if you would just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, as Amanda said, I'm Evelyn Bickley, and I'm the Activities Director for North Carolinians for Home Education. I started homeschooling all four of our kids back in 1992, I think, when our oldest was about kindergarten age. We have four kids. They are now all grown and flown and successfully adulting, so it can be done.
That's so awesome. I love that. And all of your kids, were they homeschooled all the whole way?
Yes, they were. We started when our oldest was in preschool age. We put
Mm-hmm.
him in a preschool because I had another baby at home and we thought he would have the opportunity to socialize and I would have time with the baby and that sort of thing. Within the first 6 weeks, we found that he was a different child there. And when
Yeah.
he came home with language and attitudes and behaviors that he was picking up from the other kids.
Mm.
So we said, this was not for our family. I found another mom at our church who also had a 4-year-old son, and she and I decided to preschool together. She took the boys one day a week, I took the boys one day a week, and we did our own little school together. And that is how we got started in homeschooling. We never looked back after that point. Although I must say, at some points there were times when I would threaten them with boarding school in Switzerland or something like that because, there are those days
Oh,
that are
for
just like,
sure. For
yeah.
sure. Yes. Oh my goodness. All right. And so you started homeschooling. I love that story because I think it's so great for our families of young preschool age kids and even, we have a lot of single moms now that are wanting to homeschool or working moms. That's a great example of something they could do that would make it work for them. Like if they needed to trade off and have, oh, this family could take the kids one day and then you just trade off. That's
Mhm.
amazing. What a great
Yeah,
way to make that work.
it worked well.
So, how did you get involved with NCHE?
Well, as I said, I have four kids, and when my youngest was about a junior in high school, and I saw that this life of mine for the previous 20 some years was about to end, I started praying, God, what do you want me to do next? And
Hmm.
you may be familiar with the old joke about the man who's drowning in the river and he prays, God, please save me. And a log comes along and he says, oh no, God's going to save me. That's not for me. And then a rowboat comes along. Oh no, God's going to save me. That's not for me. And then finally the housetop comes along and he says, oh, there's my salvation. So it was a little bit like that for me. As I was praying, I had a phone call from NCHE saying, would you do this job for us? And I said, I don't know. I'm praying about it, but I don't know what is in store for me. A few months later, NCHE called again and said, would you do this other thing for us? And I said, I don't know about this. The third time they called, I kind of hit myself in the head and said, oh, there's my lifeboat. And
Ah,
it has been a perfect fit for my skills and past experience and that sort of thing. So it, God just put it all together. It just took me a little while to figure it out.
great. That's so neat. So, what is your role on the NCHE board right now?
As activities director, I'm responsible for anything that is kid focused, as opposed to the conference and circle are more adult focused, and they're called events. Kid focused things are field trips and the chess organization club and that sort of thing. Um, Anything that is kid centered.
That's
The NCHE
amazing.
Athletic Commission would also fall under that.
Yeah. Oh, and all that stuff. It's so important. That's always the things that I think people are worried about missing when they start homeschooling. They're worried about the social things, they're worried about sports, stuff like that, the kind of extracurricular activities. That's so cool. And now we have your husband involved too.
And his situation was a little bit different. He didn't have to have the lifeboat come along. He had worked for many years for Bank of America and is all about numbers and spreadsheets and that sort of thing. When NCHE needed a treasurer, I went to him and said, look, I know you've got this skill set. Would you be interested? And he thought about it and talked to others on the board and that sort of thing. And he is now the NCHE treasurer for a number of years. I don't know. But he gives us spreadsheets on a monthly basis. It is his strong point.
I am always in awe of people that have that skill and are really good at it because it is not at all my skill. And
Mine either. And every month when he sends us the spreadsheet, I say, what does this mean?
it's true, it's true. But he does a great job of making it very palatable for all of us to look at those numbers and understand them. So that's really a skill too. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. I love that. And so I know you said you were looking for what to do after your, coming to the end of your homeschool, your personal homeschool journey. Um, really, why y'all's kids are grown and gone. They're adults. You have grandkids now. Why do you guys keep volunteering, keep serving the homeschool community? I mean, you could be, retired on a beach somewhere.
Oh no, I'm a blonde. I burn. um, but anyway, why do we keep serving? Because God hasn't told us differently, and
Mm,
because it is important for us to have an arena where we can use the skills that we have.
yeah,
And also, we love the homeschool families that we have the opportunity to serve and talk to and interact with. In addition to this, I also teach a public speaking class during the school year for high school students, middle school and high school students. And I just love being around that world because it has been our world for 30 years, I guess.
that's
So
awesome.
mm,
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
love that. I love that. So, to all you nearing retirement or retired homeschool moms and dads out there, there is a place for you to serve. We want you to be a part of our family. You can stay in the homeschool family. We won't kick you out once your kids graduate. You can continue to serve. There's a lot of
And as a matter
opportunities
of
there.
fact, that's one of the reasons I understand that NCHE is North Carolinians for home education. It's for anybody who supports the concept, not just actively homeschooling families. So
Exactly.
if you have your parents are
Yes.
in support of homeschooling, they could be members of NCHE as well.
That's right. Exactly. That's such a good point, and I love that. Love it, love it. All right. Well, one of the things that I like to do every week is a little homeschool helps with Amanda. And so I talk about all different things. This week, I wanted to talk about choosing curriculum. So this always is a really big deal. People decide to homeschool, they go through the process, they get their notice of intent filed, they're all official, and then it's time to pick curriculum. And that seems really overwhelming. And it is. There's so many choices these days. Even from when I started homeschooling 20 years ago, there are exponentially more choices than there were even then. Um, and so, how in the world do you pick? So, it is difficult. It is, but it can be made not so overwhelming. So here's what I do. And then, Evelyn, I'm going to ask you, what kind of curriculum did you use? What did you pick? See, when I started homeschooling 20 years ago, and I'm sure when you were homeschooling, there really weren't all these online options that there are now. So that was not really part of my process. But I see so many people that are starting to homeschool these days, and they will just automatically go to an online option. As I'm sure if you've been watching this show for any period of time or listening to this podcast, you know that I am not a big fan of full online programs. I know there's a place for online, and I have even used some online curriculum for math or different things. But, and especially for little kids, especially for elementary and on that, I just think for that age, for that level of their brain development and all the things, I am not a fan of a full on sit in front of a computer kind of curriculum. That's not my favorite. So that's the lens I'm coming from with choosing curriculum. But what I would tell you to do when you're starting to choose curriculum is start to figure out a way to narrow down the choices. So I would start with, do you want religious? Do you want Christian curriculum? Do you want secular curriculum? That's where I would start and start narrowing down that way. And then look at what kind of approach to homeschooling do you want? Do you want traditional textbook kind of learning? Do you want more of a unit study style of learning? Do you want more of, there's Charlotte Mason, if you've ever heard me talk about that before. There's classical, there's different approaches to homeschooling. So look into that and see if one of those approaches really appeals to you in your way of teaching, in your child's way of learning, and just keep narrowing down. And eventually you'll find that maybe one or two, maybe three different programs really appeal to you and where you are, what stage your kids are in, what approach to homeschooling appeals to you. Even your budget really can make a difference in what you're going to choose. So keep narrowing down, and then you'll find, oh, this is the one. You know, it's kind of like choosing anything. Eventually it will kind of reveal itself to you of what is the right fit for your family. Another thing I would say is you will probably at some point in your homeschool journey pick the wrong thing. And that's okay. It's okay to pick the wrong thing. I've done it. I'm sure everybody has at one time or another. You pick something and you get into it and you're like, oh, this is not working. And then it's okay to pitch it, sell it, make a different choice. That's okay. So now, Evelyn, when you were starting to homeschool, so I know there were curriculum choices then. It wasn't the time of nobody will sell to homeschoolers, but there weren't as many as today for sure. So how did you, when you were first starting to homeschool, how did you pick your curriculum or what did you do?
I did a lot of talking to my girlfriends who were also homeschooling and getting advice from them. And then I, looked at what appealed to me. I used Alpha Omega. I used some Bob Jones and some Becca, which are very traditional schoolroom-based kinds of curriculum. I also did a lot of unit study because when you're schooling children of multiple ages, unit studies become remarkably flexible. If you're studying horses, for example, you can read Misty of Chincoteague or something to a great age span.
Yes.
Your youngest one can draw a picture of a horse. Your second grader can write 3 sentences about what they learned about horses, and your 6th grader can write a paragraph or two as a book report. So you can do a remarkable amount with unit studies, and I really love that. And also to back up what you said, Amanda, about changing curriculum, what works for one child will not necessarily work for the next child. or even for the same child the next year. So
Yep.
be willing to investigate other options and go for something different so that you can truly customize the needs for your particular children and children within your family. That's one of the beauties of homeschooling is that it can be so uh, customized like that.
Yes. I totally agree. Totally, totally. That is exactly right. Yes, absolutely. And it's so true. I have, I used a certain kind of curriculum for many years because I had my three olders that were kind of all together. And then I had the younger one that was a little bit more spaced out. So he was almost like an only child. And what worked for the three of them all together really did not work well for just one individual kid. So I really
Yes.
had to step back and think, okay, what's going to work for him? So yeah, absolutely.
I would also suggest, especially for things like math, especially in the early years, get consumable books where the child actually writes in the workbook. My
Yes.
oldest son had some, I guess you'd call it dysgraphia.
Mm.
So when we switched from a consumable book to a textbook where he had to look at the problems over here, recopy them on a piece of paper and work them, he would switch the numbers around. So he was obviously getting all the answers wrong, which
Ah.
was a huge frustration. So as much as possible, at least in math, I
Mm.
would go for a consumable sort of textbook.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. And I know I can't wrap my brain around how I have heard, I guess, in many brick and mortar public schools these days, they don't have any textbooks at all. Like everything's on a tablet. And I can't wrap my brain around like knowing how my little kids learned, needing to touch and feel and write, like physically write the answers, like what you were talking about. I think, again, beauty of homeschooling. You can make it work for your child and do what's best for them, their developmental stage, their needs. If they have any sort of um, struggle, like with dysgraphia, I had kids with dyslexia, just different things. But you can make it work for them.
I
Beauty of
also
homeschool.
I would also suggest do not go in and buy all of any one curriculum
Oh,
or
yeah.
multiple years of that one curriculum
Smart.
because it might not work. And if you also have a child who is an excellent reader, for example,
Mm-hmm.
but poor with math, you might need to be going much slower with math and repeating a year or concepts with that child over time. So as they grow, you have to flex with their abilities.
Exactly. That's so smart. Oh, I love it. So good. And this is why, guys, this is why you need uh, a more experienced homeschooler, retired homeschooler to mentor you in your life because they know the things, guys. They know the things. So good. It's so good. All right. Next, we like to talk about from time to time learning on location. I loved taking our homeschool outside of the walls of our house. Field trips are my favorite. And I love that you're on here today because you plan the field trips for NCHE, which are such a great resource opportunity for our families. Um, so I wanted to say, what were some of our favorite field trips? So this could be you in your personal family with your own kids, Evelyn, or even an NCHE field trip that was really great. And why do you think that field trips are important?
Oh, we love field trips. Um, some of our favorite ones were to places like Williamsburg or Plymouth, Massachusetts. I
Ooh,
think nothing will kill a kid's interest in history more than handing them a textbook and making them memorize dates and locations of things. But if you take the child there, they get to handle, they get to see people in costume, they get to immerse themselves in the event. Living history, battlefield things come up from time
Hmm.
to time here in North Carolina, which are wonderful, wonderful things. Often makes great family memories, family bonding over that experience. A lot of remember when we sat in that canoe or whatever it was. So
Yes.
that's one of the reasons that I love field trips. It gets you out and makes it much more real than just
Hmm.
reading about something.
I totally agree. I think it's so easy to get kind of tunnel vision. We're like, oh, we've got to get all these worksheets done. We've got to get those pages of math done, and yes, that is important, of course. But it is also so important. And again, one of the beauties of homeschooling, flexible, you can flex your schedule, make it work so you can get out and go do these things.
And
I
I would also
promise you. Oh, yeah,
say,
go ahead.
if you take a vacation in the
Yeah,
summer, and I'm not talking about just lying on the beach kind of
right.
vacation, but I'm talking about if you're at the beach, make sure you go to an aquarium and then count that as one of your school days. Or I've
Yes.
even had friends who've gone to Disney, and at Epcot in Disney, they do or did have educational days. You can sign your kids up for classes, behind the
Yeah.
scenes type things, even at Disney. So you can count that as a day for your school. So there are all kinds
Absolutely.
of things out there.
Absolutely. I know even, and this is kind of a funny experience that we have had, you can take the homeschool mom out, but they're still the homeschool mom. We
Mm-hmm.
went we went on a family vacation years ago to Hawaii, and we still did a field trip in Hawaii. We went to a coffee plantation and toured it. We went to the Dole pineapple plantation and toured it. And it was super fun, and we learned a lot about what it was like, historically in Hawaii and the coffee, how they did that. And my kids, some of them were adults at that time, and they just rolled with it. They were like, "Yeah, this is great. Let's do a field trip." It was really fun. So there's always opportunities wherever you go. And truly, I think my kids, probably the things they remember most about our homeschool years have been the field trips.
Mm-hmm. They're not
Honestly,
going to
that's the part.
remember the worksheets unless it's, oh, mom made us do so many of them.
It's true. It's true. Absolutely. So that kind of segues perfectly into, I always like to, at the end, talk a little bit about what is going on with NCHE. And there are at least a couple of field trips coming up.
Oh, yeah. We've got some great things lined up already. We've got the ballet, the Nutcracker Ballet, coming up towards the end of December. Now, we've already have more than 700 people signed up to go, and I'm working on trying to get more tickets, but, you know, you can check our website for information about that.
Yes.
Let's see what else. In January, on Martin Luther King Day, we're going for the 6th year in a row, I think it is, to the Charlotte Hornet. That is a midday uh, uh, tip-off for that particular game, and it's going to be followed by their faith and family concert later in the afternoon. And let's see what else do I have. Oh, for those in the Wilmington area,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of February, we're going to be sleeping with the fishes at the Fort Fisher Aquarium. So watch for registration opening soon on that one. Let's see. Oh,
I love
and around Easter time, I think it's Easter Monday, I already have reservations for the Biltmore Estates. They are a very expensive place to go,
it.
but we are getting a beautiful discount to go, and it is again, an educational and historical place to go. So we have
That is
a number of things coming up, and there will be others that I just haven't gotten pinned down yet.
I love that. Oh, so good. And some of those things, like Biltmore, again, like you said, it's so expensive. And this is a great chance to get a great discount. And they've got some special things, I think, for us lined up that you wouldn't get if you just went on a normal day, right?
Yeah, there'll be some other extra things. We
Super
try to
fun.
get those extra things. So,
Yes, super fun. I love that. Another thing that I wanted to remind you all about is we also have a lot of free webinars. I always try and highlight something, all the different things on our website. Please go to nche.com. It will be in the show notes, these different links for the field trips. We also have webinars. If you are new to homeschooling, if you're getting started with high school, if you're worried about testing, if you have somebody with special needs, we have a webinar for you. They are free. You just have to sign up with your email address to get access to those. And they really are just full of great information. So check that out. Be sure to find that on our website. Another thing, and this is another area of what we do at NCHE that Evelyn is in charge of, we give out scholarships. So I know, it's a hard time financially for a lot of people, and every little bit helps. So if you have a senior that's going to be graduating, we have scholarships that are coming up. Tell me, Evelyn, remind me when the application for those scholarships opens. It is very soon, right?
yes, it is. It'll be opening December 1st. You'll be able to find all the information and application form on the website. Now, your
Mm-hmm.
family does need to be a member of NCHE and does need to be registered legally homeschooling in North Carolina. So
Okay.
those are the two caveats. The registration period or the application period is open until March 31st.
Okay.
Then the judges do their work in April, and the scholarships will be announced in May. So you'll know one way or the other. And since we started scholarship program back in the 90s, I think we've given out over $195,000 worth of scholarships. So there are a number of categories too. It's not just the academic,
Mm-hmm.
as most scholarships are based on just purely academics. We also
Mm-hmm.
have for the arts, for sports, missions and ministry, and community service for those students who put in a lot of time helping their communities. We look at that to offer a scholarship in that area. So
Neat. That
it's
is
been a
so
great,
good.
yeah, it is great. And we love being able to honor our students that way.
Yes, I love that. So definitely check out, be ready to get those applications in um, as of December 1st. So check that out on our website. There'll be a lot more things coming out in the next month. We've got some development campaign we'll have in January. The registration will open for Thrive. There's just a lot going on. So be sure to check out the website regularly. Um, Look on our Facebook page for updates and Instagram as well. And, excuse me. And of course, like and subscribe. Make sure you have your notifications set up for this podcast, whether you find us anywhere you get your podcast or on YouTube. Make sure to share with your friends. As always, if you have any questions, any suggestions, anything you want us to talk about, let us know. You can reach us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. And as always, continue to homeschool with confidence and joy. So thank you, Evelyn, for joining me today. This has been super fun, and I hope it's been really helpful and encouraging for everybody out there.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Amanda.
All right. So bye-bye, everybody.